what we'll do, actually, as a matter of fact, Nick, I'll have you go first if you have anything to explain to them.
Sure. So nothing crazy with the Treasury report. Stipends are going to start going out soon, so we will see a fluctuation, which will reflect the budget report that I presented last month. So if anyone's in their email looking that over, we would take approval on that now, if possible.
You got it.
Thanks, Ralph. And we just need a second on the Treasury report.
Yeah, you got it, Nick. Anthony.
Thanks, Anthony. And then we just need approval on last meeting's minutes, which might take a little longer to look over, but we'll get approval for those, a first and a second as well.
Can you call for a
Yes, we're still if people are just signing in, we are looking for a first and second approval on the minutes.
Nick, I can approve the minutes. It's Kathy.
Kathy, thank you. And we just need a second, and then we could turn it back over to Ernie and get on with the agenda.
It's seconded. It's Colette.
Colette, thank you so much.
Hey, great, guys. So did we take care of the budget also, Nick?
Yes, sir. We have approval on both the Treasury report and last meeting's minutes.
Great. And I promise I'll be moving lightning fast. There are a number of other issues I also have to deal with this afternoon. But for starters, Unit 1, we believe it was last week, we submitted our proposal to the agency for Unit 1. They're going through it. We are possibly having a meeting next week, except that a member brought up a point to me, I believe was 2 days ago, but that has to do with licensing. So that's something, obviously, once you start exchanging proposals, you can't, you normally don't change it, but it's to my knowledge, or from my feeling, it's very, very simple. I have not spoken to the executive board about it, but I already drafted the big difference is just to add a certain group of support services to a general group. So I will be sending that to Dr. Giganti as an addendum to our original proposal. So we're waiting from there. Unit 10, we also sent in we received their proposal, we counted their proposal, and then they came back. I can say this, one of the big issues that members have is the end of the year check coming so late. We introduced it, we try to come up with different ways we could get it so members get their money as early as possible. But I believe yesterday, in talking with Dr. Giganti, he said to me, we can't do it due to their system. We tried from making the check available earlier to changing the ratio. In other words, instead of being 30, 30, and 30, make it 40, 40, and 20. So that is something that we would probably won't be able to do. But most everything else, I believe we did fairly well. We were able to increase longevity. And I only received their counter proposal today, so we have not even digested it. The executive board was sent a copy, as well as the negotiating committee. We will be reviewing it. We will meet next week and try to get this thing ratified by the summer. And obviously, we'll have to come into the buildings, have you vote on it. I'm sorry, not you, but the members vote on it. But prior to that, as usual, the executive board, the RA, and then the members can vote on the contract. So we're trying to get it out. I think, except for that item, everything else is a lot better. What I see is I did receive a number of requests from other districts. I guess they're having difficulty negotiating their summer contract. But we feel that it's, given circumstances, we're okay. We're doing okay. I can't obviously share numbers because, we're nowhere near ratification. These are just proposals, and it could, significantly change from here to tomorrow. But the hope is going to be done quickly. We will be asking for you to come back to one more meeting. And I do apologize. This is normally the meeting we have over at Captain Bill's, where Nick is smoking the biggest cigar, but we couldn't do it this year. But we did the right thing by you guys, meaning took care of, we did a little better. So that's with the summer contract. And also, we also are going to need the RA to meet again. And I'm going to make sure we can do everything on the same day. One will be to vote for the Unit 10 contract. Two is to vote for our legal plan. We still have something. I have the representative giving me a call. I put in for him to give me a call so we could go over a few things, and we'll present it to you on sometime very soon, perhaps next week. And also the other item is our Constitution. For years, we had a Article 3, but there was nothing in Article 3. What we're going to vote on, it's an editorial. There is nothing, we're not changing any language whatsoever. All we are going to have to do is move up the articles. In other words, 1, 2, 3. Instead of having 1, 2, 3 empty and then go to 4, 4 is going to move up to 3. That's all that's going to happen. I had Lisa email you a copy of the Constitution so that you could see the editorial problem. Language is not changing. Nothing is changing in the Constitution. It's just putting things in the proper order. Any questions on that? Anyone? I don't hear, am I still on? Jen, am I still on?
Yep, you're still
We
on.
can hear you.
Okay, good. Okay, and I'm moving quick, I promise. We have the Unit 9 contract. We just received it this week. It's in the hands of the negotiating committee and the executive board. It's going to be reviewed, look, and to see. The last time we got it, there were a lot of errors in there. Things did not match up, so it was sent to be revised, and we will look at it again, send it back, and hopefully we get it all cleared up. I just want to share that, again, it was very late, but a lot of the things that were wrong in the beginning, some of it has been corrected. We still have a few little things that needs to be adjusted, and we're working on it. But from what I've heard so far, and Phil, please correct me if I'm wrong, what we're missing right now is more minor than major as it was in the past.
I'm sorry, I'm confused.
In other words, in the Unit 9 contract, a lot of things have been corrected, adjusted.
Correct.
That we've been having the whole time. What I'm asking is, so far we have a few minor issues that has to be fixed.
Correct.
Okay, good. That's all I was asking, to make sure that most everything is done with Unit 9. Recovery High School, I did not get a chance to talk to Mike Flynn. The last time I spoke to Ms. Wilson, she was looking to contract a social worker. We've been having this conversation, but that is something where I had some concerns with it, and I'm asking for a full job description. That's something I have not gotten yet, but that's something I will be making sure it's equitable in the way it's done. Scholarships, I believe.
Ernie, can we go
Yes.
back to Unit 9? This is Jean DeMetrius.
Sure.
Just wondering if the contract is complete, but you're just dealing with a couple of issues. Why is the new contract not posted on the website?
Because we haven't signed it. Because
you haven't signed it yet.
We haven't. We have to correct the errors. When it came back to us, and Holly looked through it, she found a ton of errors. From things that weren't changed, inappropriate language. When I say inappropriate, I'm referring to we're not using the proper language. And we sent it back. They were supposed to correct it. We got it back. Now we're going to have to go through it. They can't post the contract until we have it signed.
Okay, thank you.
So the only holdup will be us getting it figured out and saying to BOCES, yes, it's good. Okay, no problem. And then it will get printed or posted online. Does that make sense? Because if they posted it as is, then all these errors, members that are looking at it would be interpreting the contract in the wrong way.
Okay, that's fine. Yep,
Sure.
I understand.
No problem. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. Scholarships, I believe we have them all. Lisa, we're all good?
Yes, the only school we don't have is from Republic, Diana Santiago.
Diana, you sleeping? Are you here? Okay, I don't know why she's missing in action, but and Lisa, if you get a chance, just touch base with her so we can get this all wrapped up. I mean,
Yes, I have emails out to her already.
Great. I said Recovery High School. I did not speak to Mike Flynn. I don't know where it's at this point. New York State Department of Labor. Again, we spoke about this the last time. I had on LIPC. There are a number of districts that are still having a number of problems with this regarding people filing for unemployment. We so far in my last talk with Mike Flynn, we pretty much settled down. It seems not to be happening. Members get advice from BOCES as to get their credit checks or subscribe to something. BOCES put up where through your WinCap you can subscribe to one of these agencies to help you with that. Department of Health memo. Recently, this was something that came up last week, and Larry's here. Larry, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. And I learned about it. It came out on Friday. and it had superintendents, going nuts because they did not know about it. And it was a memo, and I shared it with you guys. You should have gotten an attachment with it. And that memo was a memo that the Commissioner of Health of New York was sending up to the CDC, requesting, not using the mask. And it created a major chaos. The majority of the schools, from my understanding, I was early in the morning on Saturday morning on the phone with Mike Flynn, and they didn't know what to do because every school is going to make a determination, parents, and it was just becoming chaotic because the way it was portrayed was as if it was going to start Monday. But in there, it said the schools can still continue to, impose their rules, make the decision that works for them. And this memo was not intended for public use, meaning to be out in the public. And somehow, this is my understanding, I don't know, but somehow the Cuomo administration had it leaked and it freaked out a lot of people. But that is how politics works. Things comes out, something gets leaked. There is a reason for it. I can't get into it because I don't know the true facts, but I will say this. As it stands, immediately I spoke to Mr. Flynn and I spoke to Larry, and the understanding was that he would put out a robocall as to what our protocol is and eventually send out a memo given what guidelines are we to follow. And I believe it worked out okay. They came back and they tried to explain the situation, that no, it would not be put in place. There was a lot of heat that Cuomo's administration took from the superintendents. We had schools that decided they were going to defy it. But again, it was based on the interpretation. It's how you read that letter that it really caused confusion. So I shared it with you. As it stands right now, we are obviously following what the guidelines are in the state of New York. You would say, why do they do this? Well, I don't know, but I would say politics is involved. So that's just for your information. Larry, do you need to add something to that?
Just other than if you read anything that comes out from Albany on a Friday afternoon, do not pay attention to it. Okay? Just wait until we get, and this has happened before, we've seen it in the past, and thank God for State Ed to come through on Saturday to clarify that message and actually go against what happened on Friday from Dr. Zucker's office. So thank you for State Ed for pitching in and clarifying that on Saturday. Mr. Flynn brought out that robocall on Sunday, and I thought that was very, very helpful, followed by a memo on Monday night through Laura. So I think with all the confusion, it was handled appropriately. And anything came out from it. They did say that, it's optional for mask wearing on school property outside of the buildings. Inside the buildings, mask protocols remain.
Okay, and I just want to let everybody know that you hear these things, and normally, when it comes to safety, normally Larry or myself will be able to reach out to the members and say, look, this is coming down the pike. Because what happened, the way it works is that once the Department of Health establishes a new policy, new procedure, they need to send it down to the districts to start making the accommodations. In this case, there was no conversations. In other words, the information should not have gone out. Am I making sense? For example, it went out on a Friday, no district was aware of this, and they were not given any directive as to how to proceed. So that's what created the major chaos. It wasn't done as it normally is supposed to be done. Yes, okay, you put in a request to CDC, CDC comes back and says, okay, yeah, you could do it. And then you now go to the districts and say, look, We requested this from CDC, and this is what they're going to do. That did not happen. And correct me if I'm wrong with this, Larry. Am I right with the procedure? You go out to CDC, you ask to do what you got to do, but nobody is supposed to know that. That is not public information. That is something that you do. But and I'm going to say that, I'm going to say this is not true. We've seen this before. It comes out Friday afternoon. Now, no one has time to do anything. So here you have parents that are up in arms. They want to take off the mask. They want to do this. It creates a major chaos. You start supporting people that just throw these things out. But to me, it's wrong. The protocol was not followed. Deal with the CDC. None of us should know about that letter. Let the CDC come back to you. Then you come back to the districts and say, look, we got this from the CDC, and this is what you need to do. Establish your plan, put it in place, and we move forward. This never happened, especially come out Friday to be implemented on Monday. That's ludicrous. All right, so be assured that we will need to be continuing to follow the procedures that we have been following so far in terms of wearing masks and so forth. Constitution, bylaws I spoke about, I'm going to continue a little bit on. Recently, Senator Brooks put out, this was something that came down to me from our representative when it comes to lobbying. And this is something BOCES have been getting us to lobby for up in Albany. And finally, somebody put in a bill for it. And it seems as if it's going to pass. It has to do with what they call reserve funds. If you have ever gone to lobbying with us, you would be familiar with it. And it has to do with BOCES having the ability to put aside monies for retirement, for disability, all these costs that BOCES incurs every year as every district, with one exception. The districts have a reserve fund. I believe I shared a couple of years ago how they had so much reserve fund that they were putting money everywhere. BOCES can't do that. BOCES just get a budget for the year, and that's it. And if there's monies left over, they got to either send it back to the district or forfeit it. So this is a good thing because it gives us, I believe it gives us more bargaining power, because you could always say, well, wait a minute, you got so much money in reserve, let's talk about it. So I answered back that, hey, I'm on board. We all are on board. We went through this before with the executive board and the RA, and we mentioned it to members. If they have that fund to pay for retirement, health insurance, that's good, as opposed to getting the new money every year. They can save money if they didn't build a building, then they can put the extra funds in that package. Any questions? Good. APPR 2021, I sent you the letter that I received that yesterday or the day before, the governor signed off that APPR will not be applied. So if members had any concerns with that, it was chaotic with it because a lot of some buildings were doing it day one as it's supposed to be done. Other buildings weren't. I met with Dr. Gigante last week, I believe, to agree on certain things we were going to try to do in order to sorry? Somebody have a question on that? Okay, so bottom line, APPR, it will not be applied 2021. I spoke to Dr. Gigante about it. The state haven't even gotten to them to tell them how to proceed, just so you be aware. This is coming strictly from Albany, something that the governor signed, and that's going to be the rule. But they still haven't said to the district, what are you going to do? Just so everybody knows. So rest assured that
Ernie, can you Ernie, could you
Mhm.
clarify what you mean when you say it will not be applied?
In other words, for example, APPR requires that you have your post observation, and then you get the rubric, the score from the rubric, in addition to the student's evaluation, all that stuff. Well, if you take all those things and you create a score, what is it? Well, it normally is either you are ineffective, developing, or highly effective or effective. Well, you can't apply that. However you do regular observations, regular scoring will be the case.
So they're not going to rate us effective or highly effective.
Correct. When they come up, right. So here's what.
So what?
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm confused. I don't understand then why do we have to do the APPR thing to begin with? Because
we did not know what they were going to do. And like I said, a week ago, I met with Dr. Giganti because it didn't affect CTE that much. But on the special ed side, they use multiple ways of using student assessment in order to come up with APPR score. And there are a number of tests they use and methods. They do it a lot with groups. And we had to agree to come up with the simplest way to do evaluation of students, which would be more favorable to the members. And we had to, that's required that we agree on these things, because at the time, no one thought that this would come up. NICET, a number of times I was in meetings with them, they said, look, the governor's not budging on it. And state ed said, look, they can't really do anything because it's legislated. And so guess what? We're going to have to do it. How were they going to do it? No idea. And I'll share with you, I don't know if it was an oversight, but I didn't get my informal so far. Now, the problem is now to go back and work out with Dr. Giganti that when they do your end of the year evaluation is to figure out that because this is not a component, how are you doing it? Am I making any sense?
So they're not going to use it at all then?
No, it's not right. So now, how do you determine how do you determine the evaluation of that?
Okay, so they're not. I just want to make sure that I'm clear, so that whatever somebody tells you about if you're effective, ineffective, that's not counting. So we don't have to worry about the APPR at all.
Correct, but what are they going to put in its place? And that's something that, again, I'm waiting because I asked Dr. Giganti. He himself has not received any procedures in evaluation. It may go back to the way we were doing observations in the past, where it's based on what we have in contract. I don't know. So that's a conversation we have to have with Dr. Giganti.
Okay.
But we can't even have the conversation unless state sends guidelines. Am I making any sense there?
No, you are, but it just seems like we've all wasted a lot of time doing all this, including the administrator.
But no, I will tell you this. NICET, one of the reasons he did it, NICET was, and forgive my language, was on their ass the whole time through. All the meetings I've gone to, all the roundtables, we're pushing it, but they don't want to budge. They gave every reason, from dealing with the remote students showing up, all of the stuff was in play, and they refused to back down. And that's the reason why I had a meeting with Dr. Giganti last week, because up until that time, this was not signed. It seemed like he wasn't going to do it. State Ed saying, look, we're still going forward with it. So you cannot not do it.
Right.
From the point that he doesn't sign this piece of paper, then it would have been applicable.
Okay. All right.
Ernie,
thank you.
Yes. Ernie, Jill Riga, sorry. So like in junior, senior, I would say most, if not all of us, had both formal and informal observations and completed the NICET testing, which usually contributes to our APPR score. So none of that stuff is counting for anything, is what you're saying.
As far as I understand it, it should not be counting. However, we got to figure out with Dr. Giganti, once they get the proper guidelines to follow, and when it comes to observation, as to what it's going to be. They have, I spoke to Dr. Giganti earlier. He has not received, okay, so what do we do now? Do I make any sense? Look, this is the state. This is not BOCES. This is not us. It's the state, and you have to follow the state. And until they finally sent to both, and when I was talking to Dr. Giganti, he himself did not know that this got signed off. And they're technically supposed to get all the data first, but now state ed is going to have to figure out, okay, they did this. Now, now we got to come up with something to tell the districts. I hope by this week they can get it done, but I don't know. So we'll wait and see for the next week or two, how are we going to get it all done? And I'm moving quick so we can get it over with. CTE major dates. I shared with everyone the CTE major dates. Please, it's subject to change, but I know Holly would always find something wrong in there, or if you see something wrong or conflicts, let me know so I can have Miss Kelsey work on adjustments to it. The earlier we know, understand, we could plan even better. Certification webinar, I did share with you, and please share in your buildings or with other members the different certification webinar dates, if anyone is interested. Welcome back, honoree. That's up in the air. We don't know how we're going to proceed. We don't know what are going to be, what is going to be happening by now until October. I hope everybody remembers this. This is a little get together we always have for the people that are getting tenured, 10 years of tenure, 25 years, all these little things that we always did for members. We don't know, we always did it at Captain Bill's, and hopefully we can go back to that little tradition because members seems to enjoy it. So it's up in the air. Am I missing anything, guys? We got the Treasury Report already, and Mr. Semino, you have committee reports. Mr. Semino, anything critical or? So the biggest thing was the mass protocol fiasco that happened over the weekend and then got corrected. But, I'm a big guy on the percentage points and things like that. I just think it's good to review to everybody that at April 1st, our positivity rate for the 7-day rolling average was 4.7. On May 1st, it was 2.0. On June 1st, it was 0.7%, and as of today is 0.4. So, I'm finally feeling a little bit of relief seeing that those numbers, especially dropping by double between April and May, and then from May to June, it's a wonderful trend. We talked about the masks, and then I just want to let people know that the humidity is back, right? It's happening. So if there's a hint of humidity in any of your buildings, please notify your building administrator and advise your health and safety rep. Yesterday, the humidity level inside my gymnasium was at 80%, which is very, very high. I have an Accurite humidity and temperature reader that I carry in my room. We have some in the other wings as well. It gives you a digital readout of the humidity rate, and it also gives you the temperature. So you can communicate to a building administrator or M&O that this is what's going on in our rooms. It's not just how we feel being subjective. It's a quantitative measure that, hey, humidity is at a certain percent. So it is a nice tool to have. I recommend to
if you do have a concern to get them. They're very inexpensive, but yes, humidity is here, and it's very, very important to curtail it now and be proactive with it before it establishes itself, and then it's hard to get rid of from there. So just be on the warning for that, please. That's it, Erm.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else? Anything from committee reports? The reason why I'm having this.
Ernie.
Is 'cause-
Ernie.
Yes.
Hello. Yes, you had the letter up there, the CTE Zoom letter, what is that all about?
Oh, yes, that is right now, and I did not get an opportunity. I did put a call in for her, but I guess she wasn't available. On the CTE side, as we all know, and also on the special ed, we typically, by June 15th, we are to get a letter as to location and position. You will not be getting that letter this year. In CTE, you will not receive that letter. And the reason for it, it's something we agree on. It's a waste of time. What it means is that if you're not getting a letter, it means that you got a position at the same position, and you are at the same location. So in CTE, there will be no change unless something unforeseen occurs. But 100%.
I think that this is what the question I was going to ask, that you have posted all the stuff you gave us with the agenda. There was a letter there about attending Zoom meetings and you had to sign off.
No, I haven't gotten to that yet. I said I would leave
I'm sorry.
to the end.
I'm sorry.
That has to do with fact finding. That's what I'm going to get into next. But yes, I did overlook mentioning that in CTE and special ed, yes, there will be a number of people that will be getting location. As position most likely is the same, but in special ed, due to the fact that a number of people are coming off remote, and they may have to be moved. As we all know, they retain Lincoln. So there are going to be some changes. They are minor. The majority of the people will be position the same, location the same. But for the few that will be relocated, and it's mainly relocation, from what I gather so far, we're good. We're good. CTE will be adding on a half-time culinary teacher. They're looking to recruit right now. As a matter of fact, I believe they were posting it today. So we are pretty solid. We're good so far. We have a number of programs in CTE where the numbers are low, but Miss Kelsey is willing to eat the situation. Rather than put that teacher to halftime, she's willing to eat it. When I say eat it, I'm referring to, run it at a low number that normally the board, could say, hey, no, we don't have enough students, thereby put that teacher halftime. So that's where we were good. Did I clarify that, Mr. Savarese?
No, the letter, I'm talking about when we got the agenda and all the different things. There's a thing there that says,
okay.
It says about signing off or being insubordinate on a Zoom meeting.
I haven't gotten there yet. You got to let me get to that. I want to take time to explain it.
You just asked me if it explained everything, and that's why I answered you.
I'm referring to the letter you get on the 15th. What I'm showing.
I'm not referring to that letter. I'm referring to the other letter that was sent.
But I got to do things in order. I got to finish one and then go.
Okay. Oh, you said you were done, and anybody else had questions. That's why I answered.
Ooh. Okay.
All right. That's all good. Sorry.
What you see there is referring to fact finding.
Okay.
And that's what I'm going to touch on now.
Okay.
And please, guys, pay attention, and please, when I finish talking, ask questions. In our contract, it's and it's law. It's the Weingarten law. If and when you're being called into the office for a meeting with an administrator, and it could possibly lead to some form of discipline, you are entitled to have a union rep with you. That's law. You're entitled. And the building administrator or your supervisor is responsible to advising you of that. Do we all, I gotta look at the Zoom screen. Bear with me for a second.
Ernie, I'm going to share it. I'm just trying to make sure I have the one that you're talking about.
Okay.
Okay, I got you. I'm going to share my screen in a moment. What we're talking about.
Lisa, did you send a copy to them?
Yes.
Weingard?
I'm talking about something else, sorry.
What?
No, the Weingard, I try to send them a summary of the Weingard rules or regulations, which is part of the Taylor law.
We didn't get that.
No, I'm not sure what you're referring to with that. You had asked me to send the 2 paragraphs
Let me look at here and see.
of the 1 letter and.
No, but there was another document that I wanted to send so that everyone can look at what the summary is. That's all right. I'm gonna see if it was send minutes, reserve funds, new certification, bylaws, CT major dates, letter, no. All right, that's okay. I will send you guys a copy, but I'll explain it. I'll explain in a nutshell. Any member that gets in trouble is entitled to union representation. And I will ask you to urge the member, take the union representation at all times. Don't worry about that. Oh, that was nothing. So nah, I can go in there and fight my way out of the situation. No, take somebody else in there. No, yeah, that's just this is what I'm going to get to later. But here's the deal. There is a part of this which is called fact-finding. And fact-finding is where the administrator is responsible to investigate any allegations that occurs in their building. And a member's name can come up, even though they have absolutely nothing to do with the investigation. Am I making any sense? For example, and I got to make sure it's differentiated. If there is if somebody complains that you did this to a student, now that does 2 things. It triggers 2 things. 1, it triggers fact finding, and possibly you're going to get disciplined. That's what it does. So when it's been working, and we've had this issue with BOCES, when they're just trying to find out what happened, they don't have to, under the Weingard rules, they don't have to advise you to have a rep with you, and they move forward. It automatically, where it's kind of they already have an idea what happened, then yes, they're going to say to you, okay, we're going to say you should have a rep with you. What we have established during the years with the principals in the buildings is, hey, look at the more we can have representation in there, it works. So the building administrators started doing that, but it's not something they are obligated to do. They're not obligated to do it. Now, given where we are, BOCES is coming up, which I am glad. I don't like what the letter says. It's very harsh. It's very, intimidating. But I rather this letter go out when they're doing fact finding, and a member is going to be part of that fact finding, even though in a lot of cases, it's not. And Dr. Gigante used an example yesterday where we were dealing with the situation, and he says like 0.0001 that anything would come up. But once they're going to call you in either for fact finding or a meeting that possibly could go to disciplinary action, you're going to get that letter. And that's what it's going to look like. It's going to freak you out. It's going to freak out a lot of people. I mean, I just experienced it a couple of weeks ago. The idea, or what I appreciate it. I appreciate it because it now makes us part of the initial investigation in any case. So say a member gets this letter, he doesn't know what the heck it has to do with him. He doesn't, or she doesn't know what's going on. Then I can very easily reach out to Dr. Gigante and say, what's the deal with this? And put the member at ease. So if the member knows they didn't do anything or anything of that, or anything happened with them, then rest assured, but talk to your union rep. Talk to a rep in the building. And now we can get the ball rolling. And now we can figure out what's going on. And now the executive board can get a grips as to what is going on, because we typically don't know. Yes, in the majority of the buildings, they handle things and they'll bring the reps into the meetings with the members, but it typically focuses on the member, not on the actual occurrence. Now we would be technically part of the occurrence. Now I'm going to stop for a second and make sure if anyone don't understand what I'm talking about, please say it to me so I can make sure I can make myself a lot clearer.
Ernie?
Yes.
This is Teresa DeLappy. Hi. So I heard what you said, and I just need clarification on one part. You mentioned that you might get called in for fact finding.
Correct.
But you were, I think what you said is that there may be two reasons you get called in. One, your name may come up as they need to find out some facts of what you know, versus
Right.
You're the person being investigated.
Correct.
Are you distinguishing between the two, or is this letter going to all people involved in the fact finding?
Well, okay. I love the fact that you asked the question. I love it. I guess you got it. It's, let's say they're fact finding, and whatever they're fact finding had nothing to do with you. Technically, you're not entitled to have a rep there. If it has to do directly with you or accused of something, then yes, they should advise you of your wine guard rights. Does that make sense?
Yes.
A lot of cases. Sorry.
If they do call you in and it's not direct, like say, argument's sake, Mrs. DeLappy, we need you to come in. We're going to talk to you about XYZ person, an event that happened. Can you have representation of your union at that point?
According to the letter, this will be sent to you first. And once they send that to you, absolutely, you're entitled to union rep.
But what if they just call you in and they want to ask you, oh, this is
If they're doing a fact finding, then they're violating their own rules.
Right. So then at that point, you could stop the meeting and say, listen, I'm just not comfortable doing it this way.
What I would say to the member, is this a fact finding meeting? If it is a fact finding meeting, how come nobody notify me that I can have somebody here? Does that make sense to you?
The only thing I don't know if it's me, I'm just not quite understanding. Like, so argument's sake, if it's about me, they are looking in, something happened with Teresa DeLappy, an incident, and they're investigating. And they call in Jill Rager to have a discussion. Is Jill required or allowed to have representation before she speaks?
Wait, hold on. You threw me off. Can you take it right back from the beginning?
Sure. So they've said that they're looking to investigate Teresa DeLappy for an incident, whatever it is. And they say, Jill Rager, could you come down? We'd like to talk to you about an incident that happened. Jill Rager has the right to representation also. Am I correct?
Well, she would have gotten this, and at that point, even though they're investigating you, then she has the right to have a union rep there.
Right. So no one should be called in unless they're getting this letter.
Yes.
Okay.
And just FYI, as nasty as it sounds,
It does sound harsh, yeah.
It is. But I rather have it happen so we are part of the whole scheme. In other words, as to what's going on. Yes, that is correct. They will get the letter saying, hey, you got to be there. Because even in a couple of things that we're dealing with right now, and it's been going on for at least 3 weeks, this has served as an advantage to us.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like the wording, but it got us in there since the inception of it. Does that make sense? So at all times, I will make sure I solidify this with Dr. Giganti that absolutely, in the past, I was having a lot of issues with Mike Flynn on this. We had members that came in to do a fact finding. They technically are not supposed to have anything to do with the issues. And guess what? Next thing you know is now we are on a meeting on disciplinary meeting because members talk too much. I'm sorry to say it. They say more than is expected. They did not have to say it. And it's not a matter of hiding anything. It just blows up. It balloons. And I will say this. The reason why we're dealing with this for so long is because of the same issues. I had a rep in there. The rep was next to the member. The rep, I don't know, kicked the member, let the member just get the member to shut up. I'm sorry I put it that way. But and that was in a fact-finding meeting that had nothing to do with the member. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
What it was creating is a bigger implication.
Yes.
Last week, Thursday, same thing. That the rep is there and the rep can caucus. Perhaps don't understand is that when you're in a meeting with an administrator, doesn't matter what it is, you cannot say, hey, I'm out of here.
You're accountable for what you say.
Well, yeah. Aside from that, if you feel uncomfortable, you can't just tell your administrator technically to, oh, I don't want to talk about this and walk out of the room. You can't. However, the rep can say, I want to caucus, or I need to take time out. I need to talk to my member, and we need to reschedule the meeting. Am I making any sense with that?
So what happens, what should we advise members if a situation where an administrator has called them in and starts discussing something that they don't clearly address as a fact-finding meeting, but sounds like it is? You should, as a member, ask, is this a fact-finding meeting?
Absolutely. Just ask them, is it a fact-finding meeting? Just ask the question. Is it a meeting that, I mean, again, I'm not like if a
Right. We're not being hostile. We're just asking the question.
Right. Absolutely. Ask the question. And again, and I love it. I love the fact that their lawyers suggested that they start putting this up.
Yeah.
Is that no matter what it is.
It's happening in a lot of districts.
I'm sorry? A lot. No, they have literally the same language. This language, from my understanding, is just copied from other districts, except typically only applied if you were part of the investigation.
Right.
And in this investigation, I will tell you this, a number of people, the majority, if not everyone, well, the majority of the people had nothing to do with it. But their names were put in there, so they had to be called up and do it. So it's critical. Reach out to the rep. I will do everything I can to go to Dr. Giganti, make sure I know why he's doing this. We got a good relation with the building, but sometimes, a lot of time, it's very few times, but I had 3 cases where it went to 507 and, the principal had nothing to do with it. When I say that, I'm referring to they were not even part of the meetings that we had. Am I making any sense? Like if a complaint goes up directly to 507, the principal has no idea. I mean, in one of the cases very recently, I called the principal at 7 a.m. and I'm going through the whole, and I don't know. I don't know. She doesn't know even that what was going on. Is she negligent? Nah.
Negligent, yeah.
Bob?
Is this memo coming from 507 when the
Yes.
email is received?
Yes, it's coming from Dr. Giganti.
Dr. Giganti, okay, so that way if people, members are
Right.
asking,
Right.
they kind of have a clear understanding where it's coming, because it is a scary email.
Right, I agree. Now, I still believe in, and I have a couple of incidents going on right now where the member doesn't get this letter, but it's strictly being handled at the building level. In other words, that courtesy that the principal has and the relation they have with the reps is good, where they start doing things way before it gets to the level where a member has to get a letter like this.
Right, it's more in-house at that point.
Correct. And the rep is already working with the member, and it's all going to be ironed out, so we don't have to deal with it.
Okay, thank you. I understand now.
Sure, good. More questions on this? Or did I leave anything out, Ralph? Did I clarify it? Did it? I know I'm getting a bunch of beef, so I can't do both of them. I'm sorry. But guys, questions?
No, I think you clarified it. I know, personally, you and I, Ernie, I was very, I didn't love this memo, but now that I understand it and, you clarified it, that it's really to our benefit. I get it now.
Right. No, it's hard. Don't get me wrong. I don't like the wording, but you know what? If it gets us in there, and I'm telling you, it was a great experience for me because I got to be very careful on how I say it. But I remember in 2 occasions, the rep stepped in and was able to minimize the member putting themselves in a greater, you understand what I'm saying? The member putting themselves in a bind, and we technically would not have been there. And I've been where I would say to Mike Flynn, I didn't know this was going on. Well, Ernie, we just were doing a fact finding, and this came out, so we now have to investigate that. And that's where I felt, and I could see where you looked at it, but I look at it from my past experience with this, where it makes it very difficult. More questions on that, guys? I'm just trying to move quickly and make sure. So please.
There's no other ramifications other than you're going to a interview at this point, right? Because there are some other districts that immediately when this occurs, they put you on a suspended leave.
Well, it depends on obviously what they're investigating. Now, you cannot be put on a suspended leave only, for example, if let's say
yeah, but some districts immediately, this is a policy that when you get put into an investigative situation, it's not that you're guilty, it's that you're automatically put on a suspended leave, and then they investigate the case in a timely fashion, and then either it gets null and void,
Ernie,
or
we're all
that's why I'm asking, because it seems like, I'm wondering if, I just kind of speculating, is that, because there are a couple of districts that is their new policy to protect.
Right. No, right now I can share with you from experience, the way it works with BOCES, with us, it depends on what's going on.
Okay.
Now, yes, we have had members put on leave, and
because of what the allegations are.
Correct. Right.
But it's not a standard, hey, Johnny Smith did X, Y, Z. It doesn't matter, we're automatically doing that.
For example, and I'll say it, I was caught smoking on campus, and it's illegal. They didn't put me on administrative leave because it didn't rise to the level of danger to others, or if you are accused of, for example, molesting a child, that's a totally different story.
Right, that's different.
Right, so it depends on the level of seriousness. Does that in both?
Yeah, no, I understand. Some other districts, it doesn't matter. It could be as simple as you were smoking on campus, you're put on the leave, versus molesting a child, you're put on leave, and then we investigate. So
yeah, no, BOCES is strictly it's proportional to the
situation. That's good.
Offense, right.
This is a question, nothing to do with that. Did we find out about the staff the staff scholarships for college students. I have a number of people in our building
Yes,
asking about that.
I can give you the answer. We had 2 winners, and they were children of the 2 Alliance members. Lee,
Okay, all right.
you have the name on hand? You can share it. They're part of Mary's group, but they're still part of us.
Okay, I could look that up. Yeah, I wasn't sure. They had asked, and I said I would follow up with that.
We did have 2 winners.
Yeah, that's great.
Any more questions?
Oh, next.
Okay. Oh, great. Nick, you still here? I know. I do apologize. Nick had some personal issues to address. So.
No, he's still here. He's just gonna take a minute to unmute.
Hey, yeah, I'm here. I'm here, dude.
Yeah. Okay. They seem to have no more questions. Please, I remind you guys, I don't know yet. I still have to work on where we are after talking to the executive board and the negotiating committee to reach out to you guys to ratify the Unit 10. Also to just agree to adjust the editorial problem with the bylaws. We have to meet because you have to vote before we even present anything to the members. And again, this is not a big thing to take back to the members when it comes to the Constitution, because we're not changing anything. All we're doing is making sure that Article 1, 2, 3, everything is directly all the way down, not have 1, 2, 3 blank and then go to 4. So Nick, will you call for a adjournment?
No.
Sure. Motion to adjourn.
Oh, Ms. Delapi, the one thing I didn't bring up this time, because there's a reason why I put in, this was something that Ms. Delapi brought up to my attention in of our coverage. I put into NICET to do an investigation on it, just to get a grip as to how that particular plan works. That would be a major item for BOCES to add to this contract. But if it's something that we could bring into the future, then we will do it. I mean, you could even mention it. I don't mind if you recall what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know. There was a number of members that were bringing up the mental health component of their insurance and just saying that, I guess the one thing that people were saying was when you go to EOP or EAP, what is it? That they refer you out to something, but the providers on Long Island are just non-existent. There's nothing that covers their insurance. They're having to go to Brooklyn, and obviously I would consider that when someone's having some mental health issues, to have to travel an hour away is difficult.
That's been an issue for a while.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
Usually they will try and recommend a provider that accepts our insurances. Let me bring that up to them. Thank you. I'll bring it up again.
Thanks. Right, but what I found out was when I went into the NICET excess medical, and I actually called.
They have a list.
Yeah, I called JJ Stannis, and then it's not JJ Stannis that actually covers us. I know the name, but I can't think of it right now.
That's okay.
I could look it up. They cover us, and you can, if you have,
it's Beacon Health.
Don't have that, but if you have the money to lay out, they will do the deductible reimbursement for you. But for some people, they were saying that's just not feasible for them to lay out the $150 for their mental health provider and then wait for that reimbursement.
Claudette said Beacon Health, but also in your Empire book, there should be providers, but I'll bring it up to EAP again.
But I didn't personally do the investigation, but 3 members were saying I went through like 8 providers in Suffolk County, and none of these people that EAP is giving me are taking our insurance.
Okay.
And then 3 different people said that. So I didn't follow up with any of that, but I did follow up with the excess medical that is at least an option if people, they would get their money back, at least if they wanted to do it immediately.
You could also make a suggestion to the members that they can go on psychologytoday.com has providers. You can put in what you're looking for specifically, and filter down for insurance. And they will list if you're looking for a psychiatrist, if you're looking for a psychologist, a social worker, someone who specializes in adolescence or addiction.
All right, I'll suggest that to them. I think, yeah, that they were just feeling a little overwhelmed in that department right now.
Colette, I apologize to you. I mean, can you, just for my own education, are these providers, let's say, for example, on Long Island that would accept their Empire or their, what is it called, HIP Prime? Because that seems to be where the problem is.
Right.
You have to.
Ernie, Empire is not good either. The Empire plan, you can get the whole list of providers and nobody gets back to you, and nobody, or they don't, or they're not, you know, their caseloads are full. It's just an overall problem.
Okay, no, the reason why I bring this up, and I'm just trying to make sure, because the way I understood the situation when Ms. Delapi brought it up to me was that the issue is not getting a provider, but the issue is getting a provider on Long Island. And for some reason or the other, there aren't any providers, say, that are accepting the Empire
The
plan.
NICE plan now. For some reason, the people in the mental health field are not. But I did, the plan that's under the excess medical, it's not just psychiatrists, it is any mental health. So if you're seeing a counselor for marriage, for drug abuse, whatever it is, it reimburses you, but you have to lay out the money.
You have to
first.
lay it out and then they reimburse,
Right.
but they're good that way.
But they
why
are
we-
very good that
That's
way.
why we push for the excess major medical.
Yeah, but still, even the excess major medical creates a limitation. So the idea was to say, hey, let's look at if we can use another plan that perhaps have providers on Long Island for the members. And because it's something we would have to negotiate. Now, we would have to look at the pluses and the minus of it. And that's something I sent up to NICE to look at. If there's a plus and minus, not to lose any of the coverages we have. If need be, have another plan available. You know, the same way we negotiated a few years to have Magna Care or whatever the care was. We negotiated that, we put it in. I don't see the difference in negotiating any other plan, but we have to understand what does it have benefits to our members. And if that plan has where our members have access to the care they need locally, then I don't have a problem with doing it. But we have to do the research on it.
We've been dealing with Ani at social service, as Ernie said in NICET, I've been dealing with Ani at social services at NICET. And she deals, NICEP is a state level insurance. So let me bounce off Ani what, she can find out statewide to get back to Ernie to see if there's anything else we can use.
Yeah. What was the company you mentioned that had them here, Ms. Delapi?
It was Colette.
The company that somebody said they saw that is on the island was, hold on, I don't know if I have it. I have it, I could send it to you if I can't find it right now.
I wrote it down when you gave it. I'm not in the office, but I sent it up to NICET for them to do.
And I'm not even sure, it's just that one person, I guess, started to do this research and this is what they came up with. I don't see it off the top of my list right here. I'd have to look for it.
Was it Beacon Health?
No, it wasn't Beacon Health. It was one of those ones that has a lot of divisions to it. The police department uses it, I heard. Does anybody know which one the police department uses?
Ali?
So
George is taking a nap, so I didn't get to ask him, but I will.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have it written down somewhere in my notes. I just don't see it off the top of my head right now. And like I said, I don't know anything about it. They just said, oh, this one is a lot of providers are taking on the island. That was the person who said that. I don't really know.
But I sent it up to NICET.
Oh, good, yeah. Because it seemed like there were more people who straggling, people commenting on it. And 3 or 4 members were very adamant about it.
Well, the way I look at it, it's simple. It's if it doesn't cost any different and the member can use that because they're having this issue, why?
It's good, yeah.
We've done it in the past, and I recognize, we all do, and on the executive board, that especially this year, you're seeing things that we've never seen before, and the best thing to do is make these things available, these services available to our members.
Mm-hmm.
I will share that I did deal with a couple of situations that because of where we are, being cooped up, and what we've had to deal with, family members dying and not knowing where we're going. I would do anything. I can try to push it, but I have to understand what it entails. And the proper way to do it is get a analysis from NICE, and then we would move forward. We can move forward and do it. Don't get it in this contract, at least try to get it in the next contract. And sometimes when you talk to BOCES, we don't have to open the contract, but we can try and get something like this in there because we have.
Well, Ernie, excuse me, a lot of the money, the funding coming in from the feds for education is also supposed to go to social, emotional, and trauma, not only for students, but for educators themselves. So that's something to push.
Well, the problem is only that if the providers are not here.
Well, but I'm just saying we'll work on it.
Yeah.
We'll work on it branch wise to see if we can get the providers and that money is funneling in, then, we can push NICE it to see what we can do statewide to get the providers on the island.
Right, but if the providers don't accept certain insurances and something.
No, that's something we have to research. I agree with you.
Well, that's what I have NICE doing right now. They are looking into it, and yes, if a plan is good for a member where it needs more help when it comes to mental health, then I don't have a problem. We don't have a problem pushing for it. We just got to figure out a way to get it in there as quickly as possible into the contract. And like I said, we submitted our proposal. They submitted theirs. Now, we just have to figure out if they would be willing to make a new provider part of our health benefits agreement. But it's on the work. It takes a little while. It takes a couple of weeks. We did it before with, what is the name? Phil, you would know. We used it mainly for Unit 9. I believe it was put out by Northwell. And then went nowhere. And then we came up.
Yeah. But again, the thing that helps us at this point is the Fed money coming in. Mm-hmm. We have to find the providers, but we can also push for the Fed money to be used for that.
Awesome. Ernie, I have another question here in the chat. If we're moving on, it's just asking for clarity with column movement and online classes. Do we have to be?
Yes, I just had I believe I remember over in Brennan that asked the question, and I emailed back that no problem, put in for it. The question that was brought to me is, do they have to, if let's say they put in for the courses, and they did, and I went over it with Dr. Giganti, he's not denying anything at this point. At this point, everything would be accepted.
Right, this answers a specific question because I think it goes beyond that. So do classes have to be approved by June or completed by June? Oh,
well, that was the exact question I'm answering.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The member asked the question exactly like that.
Yeah.
Right now, the understanding, the gentleman's agreement is like, look, they put it in, and if it's a valid, solid course, we're not. It's accepted. I know it sounds a little bit, but I did do it in writing. If it's the same member asking the question again, I did do it in writing. I sent an email stating the fact that go forward and do it. If you sign up now, let's say you sign up July 1st. We are not, and I value the question because we ended up with a big problem 2 years ago when they refused to pay the pay the speech therapist the $300 because the contract was not signed on time.
Right.
Does that make sense? But I did have a gentleman's agreement with Dr. Gigante. Sign up, get going.
Right. It has to be approved by June, not completed by June.
Right. As long as they do it through my learning plan,
Right.
then everything is fine. If it was approved, it's good to go.
Awesome.
Obviously, if it's not approved, then you know it.
Well, come talk to us if something's not approved. I like to know
Okay.
about that.
There you go.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have two questions about summer school that came up from some members. We had a meeting the other day.
Mhm.
And two of the questions that came up was that, and this is my ignorance on it, so that's why I'm asking. Sick days need doctor documentation now. Is that a new policy or always been?
No. I'm glad you brought it up. I don't remember who brought it up. I've called Ms. Wilson twice this week. I don't even remember what it is on the top of my head, and she's supposed to be calling me back on it, where there was a memo that went out, and I believe somebody has called me on how they're handling sick days, where you're supposed to bring in a note.
Yeah, that's our summer school agenda sheet. We were given a memo, and I basically addressing our issue, you know, what policy we have to follow. And it does say you need a doctor documentation for being out. The second part of that question is the clarification of summer school sick days for contracted people is so confusing. If you could just review what it is so I understand it. You get 2 days, but if you happen to use a day, you lose it off your regular bank. So you're actually losing the possibility of 3 days.
No. The way it technically is supposed to be is you're allotted 2 days of sick time in the summer. And then let's say you did not use any, you know, you had 100% attendance. Then those 2 days get credited to your bank.
Okay.
All right. That's the standard protocol with that. As to say, using it there, I got the memo in the office when and I've been trying to get a hold of Miss Wilson. I constantly do. It's very difficult to get a hold of her to figure it out because I didn't understand what it meant that you're going to be bringing in doctor's notes. Is the rep that brought that to my attention here?
Ernie, this is the
it was you. Yes.
Right. I sent you a text and a picture of the language.
Yes.
13.
Yes. And that's the question I have for Ms. Wilson. I believe I spoke to you the day before.
Yep.
And I called her yesterday. I didn't get a call back from her. I called her again today to go over this because I don't understand it. When I say I don't understand it, typically, as we all know, I am a big believer. I don't have any reason to bring you a doctor's note because Oh, Phil, I didn't tell you earlier. I took the vaccine on.
Hey, I'm proud of you.
Hold on. I took the vaccine shot on Friday, and I'm good. I'm all good.
He's been a good boy. It only took us 8 months to get him to do it.
No, I was looking to go to Canada, and I figured they were gonna.
I'm proud of you.
But anyway, I'm making an example of this. Now, what I'm saying is that they told me that I could have, you know, weird things, chills and all that stuff. And I'm good. And I had some friends that came to visit and they were here. We were having a good time. 11 o'clock at night, I go to bed. I'm like, holy crap, man, something is wrong. Because now I'm like shaking a little bit, and then I'm getting cold, but I'm warm. You know, things are weird. So I'm going, you got to be kidding me. I'm going to be spending 3 days like this. And I got to share this story why I don't believe in sending out having medical notes. Now, they told me that was going to happen to me. So in my head, it could take up to 3 days. Some people have said it takes 3 days. Well, I could not sleep all night. And then in the morning, by 7 o'clock, I'm as good as anything else.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
sound out of it.
And that's, so, okay, here I am. I went to take a vaccine, or I just felt bad that night. And do you go to the doctor for that? Are you kidding me? No. Then in that case, then BOCES will have to eat the deductible. But I have not had the conversation with,
Yeah, well, most of the time, sometimes when people are ill, it's not a requirement to go to a doctor and spend the money that it involves. It's just a matter of being homesick.
correct. That's what
Plus, it's a new policy. We don't have to send in doctor's note for our regular school year, and it's setting a precedent.
Well, that's why I'm against it. But I have not spoke. I could go straight to Mr. Flynn or Dr. Giganti. I don't want to do that. I just want.
No, I'm just stating the problem about it.
No. Well, we haven't started summer school, but we will get.
No, we haven't started yet.
We will get it cleared up before it gets going. I just need to have a conversation with her because I don't have allergies, but if I go to the office at any given time in the summer, I get massive headaches. I'm allergic to something over there. There's something. I plant.
Mold. It's called mold.
It's called work.
No, it's called. We've got a water situation over there. But, I mean, if you have an upset stomach, forgive me, and diarrhea, I'm not gonna, tell her, hey, I need a doctor's note for this, but I'm certainly not gonna bring it into work.
Right, and that is where I have said to every member, and I'm a big advocate for this. You do not submit doctor's note. You woke up, you don't feel good, and by midday you're okay. Like I said, I took the vaccine. I was like dying from 11 o'clock at night to 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. And then at 9 o'clock, I'm doing fine. Am I going to go to a doctor? Am I going to bring you a doctor's note? What? I didn't go to the doctor. Now what? So that's the piece that, because this—
Ernie, the second thing, the contract doesn't state them as 2 sick days. The contract states them as 1 personal day and 1 sick day.
Then, if you took 1 sick day and you took a personal day because you're sick, it doesn't make a difference because it's—
No, but I'm just saying, because usually you have to identify one, when you fill in your thing, you write down personal day versus sick day. So, but my point is that you're allotted 2.
Correct.
But they've switched them over. They're calling them on the paper 2 sick days, which is, I don't know, some level of relevancy, because on our contract, personal day, you don't have to identify why it's personal.
Correct. That's why I need to sit down and talk to her.
Yeah, so there's just a little clarification needed.
Now, I don't know if, I don't know, I don't understand if she's trying to say, okay, you took 1 sick day, now you took another, and because you took another, you now need to submit a doctor's note. I don't get it. That's
I don't know either. That's what I'm asking.
That's why I have to have the conversation with her, because I don't.
Sure. And then the other question was, we were encouraged but not told we had to do our plan book online. So when you do a plan book online, it was, I know that this is, it's probably clarification with the summer school principal to some extent, but we are asked to put special alerts in our plan book, phone numbers, demographics. And that really, if I'm sharing that with Larry, and he's my principal, my summer school principal, he can share that with any administrator in the 507. And we've never, although our plan book is readily available for our administrator, it's not available for the whole 507. So I'm just wondering, this is what this person said, anyone can review your plan book online, meaning once you open it up to your administrator, it's really open. That administrator can choose to share your online stuff with anyone. And I don't know where they're going with that, their thought process, but it seemed like they had a great concern on that. Now, we did have the option of just having a non-online plan book, so that, that could be how to resolve that problem. But that did come up.
It's Jill Riga. Teresa, are you talking about for in-person staff?
Yes, for in-person staff, we're encouraged to do all online plan book. And the rationale was, if for some reason you had to streamline to remote for some reason, you would have your plan book ready the next day.
So then what would they want you to do? Because I'm going to say there were a couple of us this year. Some people handed in, paper plan books, how we always have done. And then some of us used planbookedu.com for this school year. So where like our special alerts and, bus slots and all that stuff, we still had like a paper plan book with that stuff in it. But our plan book of our,
Was just your lessons there, yeah.
was on Planbook EDU. So I don't know if they're referring to that or if they're referring to how, I know like you remote teachers are using Google Classroom. So I'm just saying, just so you know, in school right now, for people that are in person, some of us, are using the, Planbook EDU. And like every other Friday, Liz will log in to check it when we hand plan books in. I don't hand in my paper one with special alerts and all that other stuff in it.
Yeah, he recommended Google Classroom, and he also mentioned Microsoft Teams. No, is that one? Yeah. Larry, you remember what the other one was? You're muted.
I don't remember the other one, but he discouraged using Teams. Only someone brought that up because that's what they were using in their district.
Oh, okay, that was it. So we didn't have any clear representation as to what we should use, but it was encouraged to use online. Now, I think that just clarification was needed in the sense of, listen, are you just looking for people to be ready to go if they go remote, meaning they can now have lessons on Google Classroom or whatever tool they're using? Or do you want the whole plan book that's required of us with progress monitoring online? That was kind of the clarification point. But the member got concerned and said that, I don't know if I'm really comfortable putting my whole plan book online, because if I'm allowing my principal to review that, I feel like it's scrutinized more, and who else is allowed to look on it?
Okay.
Like, I didn't know if they were just being like overly concerned.
Okay, I just gonna have to say this, all right, which we have to understand. We work for BOCES, and whatever they do with your plan book, your grade book, whatever you do, it's their property. And they can scrutinize it. They can do whatever they want with it. If they decide to take your plan book and share it with other principals,
okay, that's good answer. They're allowed to do that.
Absolutely, that's within their rights. That's like my plan book. They can take it to another principal and have them scrutinize. Okay. All right, but what I was trying to explain is that it really doesn't matter when it comes to that. That's something you have to give to them. It's no different than you going into work tomorrow morning and they say, well, we don't need you in the classroom. We want you to write a curriculum today. I like it, but you work for BOCES.
Okay, I'll make sure they know that. That answers that question. They're allowed to do it is the answer.
Yes, they allow. Now, what I'm trying to make a distinction on is that if and when, let's say, other people are scrutinizing it and those bases or whatever that other person scrutinizing your plan book is going to be coming back to give you harm, then there is an issue.
Okay.
Am I making sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense.
If you're building, the reason I say that is from the years I've been here, it's if you got a principal in Manor Plains that has been writing I'm sorry, not writing the plan book, but reviewing the plan book, authorizing the plan book and all this, it is ludicrous to get somebody else involved in it, because that almost says that principal is incompetent. Am I making any sense? And for example, you got your building principal. If they were to send your plan book to Chris Jackson, Dan Lochran, or all the other principals, what's the point?
I didn't really understand the question, but I did want to address it. But I think you've answered it.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Okay. This is Kathy Skidmore, Ernie. The itinerants, we were told it has to be digital this year. Now,
do we have a choice? Does it have to be?
Technically, no. The reason you don't is because if you want to do paperwork, no, you can't. That's part of your responsibility. There is nothing contractual or statute by state law that says how it's given to you. Could it be verbal? Yeah. Could it be written? Yes. But there's no such thing as for the medium by which you deliver what they need. If it has to be digital, it has to be digital. And that's one big problem most of our members are having, is that they're not computer savvy, and it makes.
No, that's not the issue, Ernie. That is not computer savvy. That is not the issue. I've been digital this year with my plan book, and it is, and I'm not the only one that has said this. Other itinerants have said this to me. It's more work. It is more time consuming, and it's not helpful at all to have it online for some people. I mean, some people, they do better online, but not everybody. I've been putting it on Google Docs. I've been handing it in when it's due, but and I'm the only one that says it's not.
I agree with you. When I started doing it, I'm going, you got to be kidding me. Okay. I agree. The only thing that I found that was useful, again, to me, and I had no clue how Google works or some of this online stuff. I literally, every time I got to do this, and I'm supposed to be the computer guy, I go to the girl next door. They ask her, hey, where the hell do I go to do this? I gotten to the point where I'm able to cut and paste. All right. And when you start doing it, it's very, very difficult. Now, if you are in a position where you're having some problems with that, then the first thing I would urge is that you reach out to the administrator and seek to get a little bit more assistance with it. If it's being denied.
No, I don't need assistance.
Hi. Oh, let me just
do it, Ernie. It's just
turn
more
off
time consuming.
my meeting.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't finish hearing this.
I know how to do it. I've been doing it all year. I've been handing it in. I've been doing it on Google Docs. I know how to do it. It's just more time consuming. When we did it, when we had it in the binder and it was all in print, it was just so much quicker.
Okay, but let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Now that you did it, which is so consuming, do you feel that next year it's going to be as consuming as this year?
Yes.
Okay, are you planning to totally rewrite it or edit what?
Well, if I have some of the same students, I can just edit it a little.
So, okay, no, I'm trying to understand it because you guys are what we call support.
Okay, see, here's the thing, Ernie. I have 25 students, and in between, like kids, I would just complete the plan book. I would do this and that. Now, I have to go onto the computer. I have to do that, and then we have to do the PMS, the progress monitoring. So we have to go back onto that site to see what they did in the plan, on the plan book, and then we have to go back on the PMS.
No, but what I'm trying to understand, I don't know, and perhaps I'll have to have a conversation with you separately. I would think that if you have all that data there and you could, I don't know, I'm not.
Ernie, it's not a matter of putting in, that's not the issue. There are members staying up till 10 o'clock at night trying to finish this.
I understand that, but what I'm trying to say to you is perhaps I promise you I'll give you a call to try to understand it, because it's being told to me now, so I don't know. I've had similar situations with this where a member called me up and they're telling it to me, and then I can spend enough time with them and really understand it and try to come up with the solution. But unless somebody else here can say or explain what we can do offhand, I don't have an answer because I have to digest what exactly is going on. I'm sorry, but I'm just saying it like it is.
No, that's okay.
All right, but give me a couple of days, and I promise you, I'll call you back, and I will make sure I get a good grip as to what exactly you're saying, and what exactly are the concerns of these members, and try to get the best solution that we possibly can get before we move anywhere forward. I promise, I will do that. And you know me. Sorry. I know somebody else came in. I don't know if they had a question.
Ernie?
Yes, dear.
I'd just like to answer the scholarship question.
Sure.
We had 2 members that received the LITBF scholarship, and they were both from the Health Alliance. They were Diana Lindquist's daughter and Karen Alberg Tevez's son. The names are also in the minutes. That's it.
Great, thanks, Lisa. Anyone else? More questions? But Ms. Skidmore, I will definitely have a conversation with you on that.
All right, I think, Mr. Caddy.
Yes, so then I'm not supposed to, but I'll make a motion that Ms. Soma be the sergeant at arms so we can dismiss the meeting.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Wait a minute, you got to get an approval first. Approval for me making the motion.
Oh,
Somebody has to second it.
I approve.
There you go. Good.
I second.
Good. Go ahead, Soma.
I'm very excited. Motion to adjourn?
Yes, it's Blanca.
I second that.
It's beautiful. Get out there.
I am. I'm catching.
Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Great, thanks. Yes,
Ernie.
executive board just.
Is executive board staying on?
Yes,
I
please.
have, I have a question for Ernie.
Okay, please
I'm sorry.
pause and let me end. Hold on, executive board, please.
No, hold on. I think there's a question that I believe Phil wants to have.
Oh, wait,
No,
Phil,
wait, no,
Okay.
wait until she gets rid of the,
Let me stop recording, please.
Okay.
Ooh, fancy.
So go ahead.
Wait.
No, we still have people on.
Oh,
Just one
There we
minute.
go.
please, sir.
it's not that
All right,
bad.
it's